The invitation to our 20-year high school reunion sat unopened on my kitchen table for almost a week. I wasn't excited about seeing old classmates. Life had gone differently than I imagined. At 42, I owned a small woodworking business, lived alone, and spent more evenings with my dog than with people. The dreams I'd carried at 18 had slowly been replaced by quiet routines. Still, something inside me whispered that maybe it was time. So on a cool October evening, I walked into the decorated school gymnasium. Music from our teenage years floated through the room. Familiar faces had changed. Gray hair, reading glasses, softer smiles, but every laugh carried echoes of the past. I greeted old friends, shared stories, and tried not to think about the one person I secretly hoped to see. Emily Carter. She had been my first love. Not just a teenage crush. The kind of love that makes you believe the future already belongs to you. We had planned everything together. College, marriage, a little white house, 2 children, but life had different plans. Her father accepted a job across the country during our senior year. We promised to stay together. For a while we did. Letters, phone calls, weekend visits. Then college became busy. Distance became heavier. One misunderstanding became another. Eventually, silence. Years passed. I heard she married someone else. I never married. I convinced myself I had moved on. Then the room suddenly became quiet. People near the entrance turned to look. I followed their eyes. Emily had arrived. She looked older, naturally. A few silver strands framed her face. The bright laughter I remembered had become something calmer. Something touched by sorrow. She wore no jewelry except a simple necklace. And beside her stood a little girl, perhaps 8 years old, holding her hand. Someone whispered behind me, "Her husband passed away last year." My heart tightened. Emily noticed me almost immediately. For a moment neither of us moved. 20 years disappeared in a single glance. Then she smiled. The same gentle smile, only sadder. She walked toward me. "Hello, Daniel." "Hi, Emily." The words felt too small for 2 decades. "It's been a long time." "It has." Her daughter peeked from behind her mother's dress, studying me with curious blue eyes. Emily rested a hand on the girl's shoulder. "This is Lily." I bent slightly. "Nice to meet you." The little girl looked directly into my eyes. Without hesitation she smiled and said, "Mommy said you'd come." Everything around us seemed to stop. I looked at Emily. She lowered her eyes, embarrassed. "I hoped you would," she admitted quietly. Before I could answer, old classmates surrounded us, asking questions and pulling us into conversations. The evening passed in small moments. Shared memories, old photographs, laughter over embarrassing stories. Yet every few minutes I caught Emily looking my way. And every time our eyes met, neither of us looked away immediately. Later, when most people had left, we stepped outside into the cool night air. Lily sat on a nearby bench eating a cookie from the dessert table. Emily wrapped her sweater tighter. "I'm glad you came." I almost didn't either. For a while we simply watched autumn leaves drift across the parking lot. Finally I asked softly, "What happened?" She knew what I meant. "My husband, Michael." She smiled sadly. "He was a wonderful man." There was no bitterness in her voice. "We had 12 good years." She paused. "Cancer." Only one word. It carried an entire lifetime of pain. "He fought for 3 years." I didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry." "So am I." Silence settled again. "I loved him," she continued. "And he loved Lily more than anything." She looked toward her daughter. "I still miss him every day." I nodded. Love doesn't disappear simply because someone dies. Then Emily surprised me. "But before Michael, there was you." I looked down. "I never stopped wondering how your life turned out." "I wondered about yours too." She laughed softly. "Funny, isn't it?" "What is?" "We spent years believing we had missed our chance." I smiled sadly. "Maybe we did, maybe." Before leaving, she handed me a folded piece of paper. "My phone number." She hesitated. "Only if you'd like coffee sometime." "I'd like that." Coffee became lunch. Lunch became walks in the park. Walks became evenings helping Lily with homework. I never tried to replace her father. No one could. Instead, I became someone new in her life. A trusted friend. One Saturday Lily asked if I could help build a treehouse. Her father had always promised to build one. He became too sick before he could. I spent 3 weekends cutting wood, measuring boards, and hammering nails. Lily painted tiny flowers around the window herself. When it was finished, she hugged me tightly. "This is exactly how Daddy wanted it." I nearly cried. Emily squeezed my hand without saying a word. Months passed. Slowly, our friendship became something deeper. Gentler than first love, stronger than youthful excitement. It was built on patience, loss, forgiveness, second chances. One evening Emily confessed something. The night before our reunion. She smiled. Lily asked why I kept staring at an old yearbook. What did you tell her? I told her about a boy who once believed I could do anything. She laughed quietly. Then she asked if I'd ever see him again. And, I said. She looked into my eyes. Maybe he'll come. So that's why she said it. Emily nodded. I never told her to say those exact words. Children often speak from the heart. A year later, we returned to the same school gymnasium. This time it wasn't for a reunion. It was a charity fundraiser. Lily ran ahead toward her friends. Emily slipped her hand into mine. I used to think life only gave us one chance at happiness. I kissed her forehead. Life gives us different kinds of happiness. She smiled. The first teaches us how to dream. And the second teaches us how grateful dreams can become. Across the room Lily waved excitedly. Hurry. We laughed and walked toward her together. Not trying to erase yesterday. Not trying to replace anyone. Simply grateful that sometimes, life quietly brings people back together exactly when their hearts are finally ready. And every now and then, hope arrives through the simple words of a child who somehow already knows the ending. Mommy said you'd come.